anything about music, so it's really interesting to see what someone else's studio looks like. And yeah, it's very cool.
And like stare into nothing and maybe eat something. It's brilliant. It's great. Use this with another software called Max, and I mostly used it for like visuals, but you can also do beep boop boop.
Beep, boop. Wow, it's so fun to see other people's studio.
Right?
And you have just these racks of guitars.
Yeah.
Do you play guitar?
I play some guitar.
Are these yours?
Yeah, so this is 2 basses, 1 guitar, and then I got my acoustic in the room.
What?
Little prop.
They just even have a TV.
That sound.
That is a very cool sound.
So it sounds like reverb. So like if you listen to that show, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like some lead. Hate that, hate that, hate that. Sure. Let me just check and see if it's on or not. Nope. Hold on. This is not recording yet. Yeah, so like I can't play multiple notes at the same time.
Yeah. So is everything layered on top of what you just made on your screen?
I could if I recorded it. I didn't
Oh,
record
so nothing is recorded.
So nothing. I've just been playing. I haven't recorded anything.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
So you're just experimenting on the keyboard.
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
I'm just playing around with them.
Because I had a lot of times I had like a really basic.
Yeah. I mean,
It's always going.
I make a lot of like ambient music. That's a lot
Oh.
of like the sounds I'll make. Like it'll either be like really
Or like a
Ambidextrous in your
intense and structured like pop influenced electronic music, or I'll just go like
oh, but you can
way
see the other
less
end. You see, like there's some
like
like
ambient
grayed out.
music. So like something that I was working on the other day, or I was actually working on like last night. It's this idea. I don't know exactly.
That's like the basic one that
Where
everyone
yeah.
does.
I mean, I feel like they could work
Ooh.
in completely different contexts. Classic. You can do
Very
so
cool.
much with it. Through the speaker.
Ooh. This sounds like a coming of age song.
Yeah, I
that's
do
like
a lot of stuff like this.
supposed to be like in a movie,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a sad ending, but like I don't know, at least the main protagonist figured whatever out.
Yeah.
Like that's the vibe.
It's funny that you like. That's what it made you think of, because like that's very much like kind of the feeling that I like to incorporate
Yeah.
into a lot of my music. It's just like this idea of like a soundtrack to a life. Like if my life had a soundtrack, what would it sound like?
Really?
Like this is the much slower idea. It's a lot more somber.
Okay. It kind of sounds like
when someone grows up too fast or something. Do you think you would add words to your song, or do you think this is just meant to be like instrumental?
I was writing something to it. I want to write something to it, but I just need to like flesh out my songwriting a little bit more. Just 'cause I feel like I run into a lot of the same traps, but I don't know if that's just because I'm the one who's writing it. I'm the one who's listening to it all the time.
Wait, do you feel like your thoughts are in kind of a hamster wheel and you can't get out of it?
Yeah, or like I write a lot of the same things. Like
Okay.
this one, the feeling I was getting a lot of was like, or at least the first bit kind of sounded like. Actually, no, a lot of my music sounds like this. It feels like I'm running from something. Themes that I write about are about like something is chasing me, something is running from me, and like I don't want to be there.
Like, I feel that way a lot too. I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've been running away from something for a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, yeah, a lot of things I'll write about a lot of the time, especially within like the last couple of years, will be like, I'm running from something or I don't feel connected to something. It's interesting seeing what your brain defaults to when you're like, oh, I'm writing something, or like, what would I want to write about? This is what I want to write about. So a lot of the times it'll be like, for example, like one of the songs that I like put out like 2 years ago. Like it was like a campy kind of pop song, it's like a dark pop song, but it was about running from something. There was a ghost in the house, and because it was like supposed to be like a Halloween release, but since then, like I've found that I'm always like I'll almost be like I'm running and I can't, like I want to hide and like I don't want to deal with something. So that'll be something. I guess it's like a theme I write about a lot. Is like something that like in my subconscious, and like you can hear it in my music a lot, especially with my structures, because the way that I'll write a lot of my music will be kind of loop based, and I do want to break out of that a little bit, just so there's more variety in my song structure.
So what does loop bass mean? Does that
Looping
mean...
is just like, basically, if I wanted to loop this, just like these drums, like do you see this part where I've selected
Right.
here? So this like length. So this part will repeat.
Okay, so you repeat that again.
Yeah, again and again and again. And I feel like that's a really good conducive style to music with themes like this, because it's constantly building and it's constantly like, you can really amp up intensity really easily because it's like a lot of the same motif, like the same melody over and over and over, but you're always adding something, and like the context of it changes a little bit. And like I found a lot of my music will have like the last 30 seconds of a song syndrome, where like most of the song is good, but it feels like it's working to something, and then the best part of the song is always the last bit, because that's when everything's coming together, and that's when everything is like not like loud, but like that's when not like the most is happening, but that's the final point of the song. Not like different parts, like we've made it to the end of the song, this is where it's supposed to be, and this is it at its most fleshed out, in its most fleshed out state.
So is that like the moment of clarity in the song that you have?
Kind of. I guess it's, if a song is a reflection of your beliefs, it's when you feel the most sure.
Yeah.
But like that is definitely, can change context to song, because there have been also songs I've written, or like other people have written, that'll be like, for most of the song it's this, but then the final chorus it'll like switch and change to something, because in a lot of like song structures, with like the verse will be like building upon an idea, and then the chorus will be stating the idea. So it's the verse is like the introduction of themes, and then the chorus is what is this song about. And that's a very like simple way to look at it. But the bridge oftentimes in traditional pop music is where a lot of the time the writer or whoever's singing it, the character of the song, will like, they will talk or open up about a feeling that contrasts with the song. Like it's the emotional high point. It's where you've got like maybe a moment of clarity, and then with that, the last chorus will be like everything, leading up to what is this person feeling, if that makes sense. So, like, let's say a song about, like, loving somebody. Verse, chorus could be about loving somebody, but then the bridge, you could talk about doubt. Like, what doubt you're experiencing. And what doubt the speaker might be feeling. And then in the chorus, it could be like, even though I have this doubt, this is still how I feel.
Right.
Or with all this being said, now this is like how I feel. So something I'll do sometimes is I'll change the last, or I'll like write the last chorus a little bit differently to really emphasize maybe like a change of heart, or like, let's say, for example, like if we use that context, verse, chorus will be like feeling unsure of something or wanting to run from something. The bridge could be like looking it dead in the eyes, and then like the last chorus could be like, I'm not afraid anymore, or like, this is just what it is, or like an acceptance.
Yeah.
So with this, it's like a pretty easy format to write to, but I definitely want to break out of it, just to like mix things up and maybe play with tension and release a little bit more. Like a lot of like artists that I really like play with tension and release a lot. I don't really do that. I just kind of think of it almost like you're holding your breath, and then when you let it out, like it's like the release from that. Like what's the climax of the song? But with this project specifically, I don't know. I have a very loose idea that like it could be like song A and song B are pretty much the same song except in completely different contexts. Like these are in 2 different keys. This one's really fast, and it could be like almost like a defiant, like for this one I was thinking it being like a really defiant, like I'm not scared anymore, like I'm not running away from anything, like I've made it to the point where I don't feel like I have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But this one, like this half, was feeling a lot more like introspective and being like, how do I interact with the world? How do I communicate? I've been feeling about like, thinking about like communication a lot, and like how when I speak to people and how I interact with the world, how do I speak to myself? How does that affect my self-perception? How does it affect my self-esteem?
Yeah.
Like the way that I interact with the world, how does it affect the way that I feel? Being an extrovert and getting your energy from people, and then when life is busy and like shit gets in the way and you don't get to have that quality time with people where you feel like you can really recharge, and how like shutting down, how like that can feel like this sometimes. And I found that it's a lot easier to communicate emotions with sound than with words as much without falling into cliches. Like the way that I like producing is how can I replicate this feeling through sound? Because I find like that is so much easier than putting it to words, or like at least having the weight of it be communicated. Because like you can say like, I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling alone. What does alone sound like? And I feel like that's a much easier way of me communicating it. It's so much easier to communicate through like what you're most comfortable with. Or like even something that you're not most comfortable with, but I feel like it's kind of like an abstraction of how you're feeling, because with music, in a way, because it's so indirect, you can be a lot more honest with what you're doing. And I feel like that's just kind of like an art, because the more direct you are with how you're feeling, like the more that'll show in your work. And like with me, I feel not like uncomfortable being like, this is how I'm feeling, but I feel like it's a lot easier for me to give that space and with my emotions with music, and like take it seriously, like not hide it behind a veil of irony or making it comfortable for people or making it digestible or palatable for everybody. Because it's an abstraction, you can make it way more honest with how you actually feel. Like, how do I communicate then? A lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes if I'm having like a bad day, someone's asking, oh, are you having a bad day? You'd be like, yeah. Or like, oh yeah, if I'm having like a bit of a bad day. That sounds like that's one thing, but like if you hear it, like, you know what it actually feels like because you're eliciting that feeling within yourself. Yeah, it's music is funny. Like, I found that I guess I'm also uncomfortable with singing because it's so vulnerable. So I like producing.
Do you ever think of getting someone else to sing your words?
In all honesty, not really. Just because
Yeah.
I'm such a private person when it comes to working.
Yeah.
Like I'm not used to working with people. Like I can write really well with people, but what will end up being made will be very different to the music that I make.
Yeah.
Because
I see.
I like this part is like very much like it's not that I don't like sharing it with people, but it feels so like if I'm with other people, like I'm so used to taking their feelings into consideration. This is so personal and like especially with my workflow, I just kind of like have to not be distracted.
Personal
Yeah.
work is personal, you know.
Yeah.
The cycle just keeps going.
No, but I really like what you shared with me. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like it's like spot on to like what the feeling that you've been describing is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like up.
Yeah.
I just graduated college. Like that's such a weird phase of life that like you don't. It's weird processing it because you're like, all right, now I'm an adult in a way, but like
yeah. I don't know. It's
that
always
switch hasn't
easier to
changed.
feel like you're an adult than
Yeah.
like actually be one.
yeah, what makes an adult for me, or like if I was like in the process of like working on like myself or like people working on themselves, I feel like a point of adulthood could be argued like it could be argued that like when you accept your situation in whatever form that takes, like for me, I don't feel like I feel like I'm quite an adult yet because I still feel like I'm running from something and I don't know what it is. I think what I like, if I could guess what I'm running from, it's sincerity.
Sincerity.
Yeah, because it's being vulnerable and that it's not that I'm like insincere with people because I actually find that I try to be as sincere a person as possible.
Oh.
It's putting yourself in a position where you feel like you're being exposed.
Mm.
You know, like an example of this is like when I was a kid and like I'm still kind of the same way. I hated practicing piano in front of my family.
Yeah.
I hated practicing my piano for my family, and it's not because I like stage fright. It wasn't quite as like I was like it felt like it was like invasive.
Well, you
Because, like-
expose yourself to criticism.
Yeah,
right?
it's not even just criticism. Well, it's just like if I want to explore, I want to play with sound, or if like I want to
Yeah.
just play, it feels like weird, especially with like not like family, but just like the idea of having like a space like completely locked up. I was like, I'm gonna like do this and no one's gonna hear it. Like unless it's the final product, I don't want anybody saying it. You know, I
see.
do not like people, or just it feels like I'm not quite ready for it yet. And then when I've hit the point where I'm like, I feel comfortable with people saying this, then it's the point where like releasing or performing or whatever. But like, I think like with singing is a perfect example. Like I hate recording vocals in front of other people
Really?
because it's like it's such a personal thing. Like I'll do it because you know you kind of have to, but I don't like doing it. And I think that's also part of like why I started producing is because as much as I love singing, I have so many more other musical ideas that I feel so much more comfortable behind a veil of like,
Really?
if you listen to this, I mean, if you knew me, you're like, yes, I've developed a distinct style, but it also, you don't know it's me.
Yeah.
It could be
Right.
anybody. It's
Yeah, I guess
faceless.
Singing does like erase
you.
the anonymity.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah.
And that's, and like performance is so strange because with this, I guess you have so much more control with like what you're doing and how it comes out. But with performance, like when it's live, like you've got to be both good enough to technically play what you're doing, but also be comfortable enough with yourself to actually like feel like you can perform it
Yeah.
in an emotional and honest way.
Hello! I'm on Maria's equipment going beep boop boop boop. This is her computer. It's really cool. I don't know a lot about music. I'm not a musician. So I just like am exploring. Standing in the rain. I don't know if I was supposed to hear that. Whoops. And then it plays on the piano when you bring it in. That's so cool. This is so cool. This is so fun going beep boop boop boop.